Hi everyone. Today I just been playing around with different ways of doing the hip thrust, and recently Ben Bruno released a video just on, he called it a rack hip thrust, and it sort of got me thinking, well, if somebody, a lot of the people beginning out on their get glutes hip thrust journey will find it difficult to load the bar with the smaller plates onto their hips in order to roll that over, and it's quite awkward. Often you have to deadlift it up, sit on the bench and then lower yourself down, so that requires a lot of upper body strength in order to do that. But the rack deadlift actually, or the rack hip thrust will actually solve that problem. You might not get as much range of movement, but you're getting the hip extension at the top, and you can adjust the range of movement so that the rack is actually lower. If you have a look at this setup here, I've got depending on the type of rack you have, you might have spotting bars that come all the way out. So for this one, we're setting up the bench outside, and you can see this is around an 18-inch bench, and the bar is set up at around 16 inches, so it's just slightly lower. This allows me to get in underneath with the smaller plates on it, set myself up, hinging on my spine where I want to in the hip thrust, and then just rolling the bar over into position. So it's now in the right position. You can see that I'm starting from hip flexion. It's not going to be from all the way down, but it actually allows you to be more stable for that end range of movement. And anyway, you're just going to go from here up into your hip extension, and then you're going down to the bar each time to the rack. And I think sometimes with the smaller plates, a lot of people will fear that sort of fatigue happening and then not being able to get rid of the bar because it's sort of sitting on them, and maybe having a fear of being pinned down, although the weight should never be that heavy with the smaller plates. But I just thought it was a great solution for anyone who has a squat bar, a squatting rack with the squatting bars that you can adjust the height toward the bench. And it's actually quite a nice way as well just to load up the end range of movement, more so you're not constantly lifting from the ground and trying to find that correct hinge. You know, sometimes when I'm doing the hip thrust from the bottom and the bench is too high, you sort of have to shuffle your way back up in order to handle the heavier weights. You're going to hinge lower in the back. For this, you already set that up beforehand. You roll in the weight, and that's you good to go. Like so. One additional practicality, I suppose, of the rack hip thrust would be, I know that when I've been training clients, somebody is, obviously their goal is going to be weight loss, then sometimes it's not practical to roll the bar over the client and in order to be able to perform full range of movement hip thrusts, because the body fat level is too high at the time, and they're not going to get the benefit of being able to do the hip thrust loaded in this way. And this kind of solves that problem as well, because two things: being able to roll the bar over to start off either a weighted glute bridge or a hip thrust is very challenging, and oftentimes that in itself is embarrassing for the person. But also the other thing is, whenever the person is returning down to hip flexion, is that maybe they have a larger tummy, and that's getting in the way of being able to fold right down. So this actually makes it far more comfortable for the person to be able to do that. So they just set up and able to roll the bar in. They're not folded all the way down, so the space here is already bigger. It's opened up more to start with, and then they can perform that range of movement to get some benefit from loading up the posterior chain and hip extension, which is such an important part of training, and it's such a shame that some people will have to miss out on this type of exercise just for that reason. Hopefully it'll help.